Good. Thank you. Welcome again to our viewers. Thank you so much for clicking. Thank you so much for those that are supporting us. Really, really. Thank you so much. And again, I try and do these 1-2 sessions so that we exhaust these issues, even though we never exhaust them. But at least the effort is so that we cover as much ground as we can. So again, I bring you Nyaradzo, my daughter-in-law. I'm sure now you know me, my Ranganai, and this is Nyaradzo Ranganai. What do you do in life, Nyaradzo?
I am a consultant.
Okay.
Mostly focusing on marketing, consulting, as well as just strategy consulting as well.
Good. I've an educated Morora, yeah. Anyway, we always start with scripture. And the scripture really, we base it on the relationship between Naomi and Ruth. I will also read from Ruth chapter 2, verse 18 and 19. Then she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw that she had gleaned, saw what she had gleaned. So she brought out and gave to her what she had kept back after she had been satisfied. And her mother-in-law said to her, "Where have you gleaned today? And where did you work? Blessed be the one who took notice of you." So she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked and said, "The man's name is whom I worked with is Boaz." Very interesting scenario here in looking at two people who have a relationship and the depth of their relationship or the breadth of their relationship, whichever way we choose to look at it. Something that really jumps out to me is that she showed her mother-in-law what she had gleaned. Basically, it's like the wage, her daily wage, if we are to talk in modern day language. She was open to show that to her mother-in-law. And her mother-in-law, you get the feeling she was permitted to ask. And because then she goes ahead and she says, "Where have you gleaned today?" And where did you work? It's they're having a genuine, open conversation. And they are talking about everything because she wants to know where did you work, who's business, who's the owner of that business, and what have you brought us home. And she's willingly also sharing. Ruth is willingly sharing information with her mother-in-law, which brings me. Did I read in Shona?
No.
Please remind me to read in Shona, because Shona inonyatso budisa zvimwe zvinhu zvakanaka. Verse, what is it? 18? 18 and 19. Shona says, "Akazvisimudza ndokupinda muguta. Vamwene vake vakaona zvaakanga aunganidza, akabudisawo zvaakanga zvasara aguta hake akavapawo." Meaning, she shared, her lunch, whatever she had been given to eat, as in food, cooked food. She left some leftovers and brought home. Wow. That's a good one. That's a good one. Ipapo vamwene vake vakati kwaari, "Wandounganidze piko nhasi? Wandobata basa kupiko? Iye wakava nehanya newe ngaaropafadzwe." Akaudza vamwene vake kuti, "Wakandobata basa kunani?" Akati, "Zita romurume wandakandobata basa kwaari anonzi nhasi ndiBoaz." I'm very sorry, my Shona is just acting up today. But basically, what we are seeing in this relationship is, you can tell me also what you see. Ruth was given her daily wage. Ruth was given lunch. She brought home some of that. Ruth was willing to share everything, her experience of the day, with her mother-in-law. And the mother-in-law was permitted also to ask questions about, how the day had gone. Yeah. What's your take?
I think for me, it really shows the relationship had gone beyond mother-in-law, daughter-in-law. This was now a mother and a daughter.
That's
just
good.
Being transparent and open, the way you would with your own child, just having a talk about how was your day, what did
Yeah.
you do today.
Yeah.
So that's what I pick up from that.
So it's like they struck a conversation around work
Yes.
and
Yes.
work issues. I think it's a soft landing
Yes.
area, to begin this relationship, because I remember for you and me, we started there as well.
Yes.
Our relationship started around work and working together, learning to work together, and how was that?
I think it was good, and I would like to continue because I think we both have different skill sets.
Yeah.
And when you bring them together, it kind of makes a complete picture and a complete system where we can move together.
So are you saying, Yarazo, it's possible for Murora and Amwene to work together?
Very possible. We're doing it.
Wow. Many people are going to be like, what? No, guys, no. But it's true.
Yes.
It's true. We work together. We do little projects together. And that's how we created time, actually.
Yes.
If we are to be honest. It is when we sit down and we are capturing, our data. We are following up on each other, outside directly saying, who is she? What is she? We found a subject where the both of us could focus on, and yet while we are at it, we're nurturing a relationship. That's a very good one. And I think people can do that, because sometimes if you are just left to know each other and just know each other, it's very difficult. You're not husband and wife.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You're not husband and wife. And yet if you just introduce something, at the beginning, the last time, remember, they were moving from Moab, going to Bethlehem. That became a point for them to have a conversation. In fact, that's how Ruth was able to make an oath to her mother-in-law. It's because of that journey that they were on together. And then on arrival, they shift. It becomes about livelihood, business.
Yes.
What are we eating? What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And there's two women. They are in it together, helping each other. I know that some people, it may not work easily as it has worked. But I think as long as people can find something, some common ground, so that at least it becomes like the well where the both of you drink from. Tsimerenyu, monwa imomo, and your relationship is satisfied. It is fed from. Whereas kana pasina chakadaro, I think it becomes more and more difficult. What do you say?
I completely agree, because I think the big thing is finding common ground.
Yeah.
It's always easier to manage a relationship, to even grow a relationship when you found common ground and you are working towards the same goal.
Yeah.
So in the case where we've got little projects, we're like, okay, this is what we want to achieve.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it comes in, how do we achieve it? Is this the right way? Did we do it correctly?
Yeah.
So even if it goes wrong, you're like, okay, we've both learned. Let's change and do it differently.
That's good. I know somebody's going to ask, what sort of business have we done together? Somebody's going to ask. I can hear that question come. Do we preempt that question?
I think we can preempt. We sell perfume together.
Yeah.
So we've got a perfume business that we run together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do a round.
Yes, we do.
We do a round together as women. Yeah, very important. Yeah. So, from what we have said so far, it's important that we communicate.
Yes.
Outside of your relationship, my relationship with Gwenyai, we have to communicate with each other. It's very interesting to me that there are no marital vows in scripture for husband and wife. There is an instruction to husband and wife in in Ephesians 5, a clear instruction in Ephesians 5. But there are no recorded vows. At least I stand corrected. Theologians, you can come in and help me. But there are no recorded, vows that, where you die, I will die. And yet what we find in scripture is actually between a daughter-in-law and a mother-in-law. Yes. To her mother-in-law particularly. the mother-in-law doesn't even respond to say, you know, it is well, my daughter, kind of. Bible says she kept quiet thereafter.
Yeah.
I mean, I can read it, guys. Please don't just take it for what I've said. Let me go there and read for you. Ruth chapter 1, verse 17. I find it very intriguing, actually, because verse 19 says, verse 18 actually says, when she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, then she left speaking to her. You know, she just left it, and they carried on with the journey. So what I wanted to ask is this relationship overrated, do you think?
The mother-in-law,
Daughter-in-law relationship.
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because it's, at the end of the day, you're my husband's mother.
Okay.
So whatever is going to happen, there's no way for me to expect that now that he's married, the relationship is gone.
Okay.
Because you were the first woman that he loved.
Yeah.
So there has to be some kind of
yeah.
there has to be some kind of achievable balance. And I think for me, part of it was watching my mom and my paternal grandmother. Sometimes we would go see Gogo when my dad wasn't even in the country.
Right.
And for her, it was very important that, no, she must know and understand that I'm her daughter too.
Yeah.
She's got her children, but I'm her daughter too. And so I think it's that kind of thing where you have to sit together and get to know each other, because at the end of the day, we are now mother and daughter. It's different because it's starting in adulthood.
Yeah.
But we need to have that balance, not only just for us to have a relationship, but for Kunyai's sake as well, because he can't be trying to choose whether it's his mom or his wife. It's unfair to him.
Yeah. You know, last time you also said that your mother prepared you for marriage. And now, specifically, she prepared you in the context of the culture you're coming from is different from the culture where you are going. And now you brought her in again to say she demonstrated to you as a young girl the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law when she would relate with your grandmother. I say this to highlight that sometimes as a daughter-in-law, your mother-in-law may not be the problem. The problem may be the quality of preparation that you came in with. That might actually be the source of your challenges. That you came into marriage for your husband, primarily, purely for your husband, as if he dropped from us. And I'm not saying condemning you, but I'm saying when you now try to embrace all the other people around your husband, you may struggle with it if your attitude was, my target, my agenda is just this guy and this guy alone. And I'm grateful to my I'm Kurungai in Shona. I don't know what to say in English. My in-law too. She's my in-law, I suppose. In that she prepared you sufficiently, you know, and so when you encounter the differences, it's like you're not shocked. You know, you realize that, oh, okay, it's one of those things, I'm sure. You put it down to that. Whereas if you are not prepared adequately and you just come into this relationship, definitely there's going to be some challenges relationally. And particularly if it has been demonstrated in that you, so to this day, Gogo is still in your house, isn't it?
Yes.
To this day as we are speaking. So it's such a strong relationship. It's such an admirable relationship that she has demonstrated to you, the girls. And I hope Nyasha and Ropa are observing also, because it sometimes certain things they are learned through observation than somebody telling you what to do. That's good. And you've already explained that because Gwinya is at the center, so this relationship has a bearing on how you will now relate to your husband. Any comment?
I think it's important because a lot of the time, especially with young women in my generation, you go in with the expectation of, I'm now the mother of this house, I'm the top person, and you forget that kunamai who was already there before you were there. So it comes down, I think, to a level of humility where you need to understand that you are a child. I know they say it at weddings all the time. Oh, now we've gained a child, we've gained a daughter, we've gained a son. But it actually takes a lot of work, because now you need to come in and also understand that you are a child. So, for example, if I were to do something wrong and my mom would shout at me, hey, you can't do that, you can't do that, I might be mad at her for an hour or two, but we come back. So it's that same attitude that you need to carry over, because if we are now fighting, it's going to, for me, it comes back to, it's important for Kunyai, for us to get along, because if we are now fighting and I'm like, 5 years ago she said this to me, or she did that to me, she did that to me, he won't have peace in our home, and then it affects our marriage.
That's true.
Yeah.
What have been our areas of differences, do you think?
I don't think too many.
Okay.
I think maybe not different. I don't think we've had too many differences, other than maybe cultural things. For example, in this house, they wake up at 4 in the morning to pray. And where I was coming from, we prayed in the evening, not necessarily in the morning. So it's been small things, small adjustments. But I think because in terms of values that we have as family, we have very similar values. So it was easier to kind of fall in line, because it's almost like we're all going the same direction. And I think also just having God as the basis of the family, it helps remove a lot of little things that might come in and cause what might look like differences.
Do you want to ask me that same question?
Yes.
I think we have had some differences, Nyarazo.
Okay.
I think we've had some personality differences.
Okay, yeah.
We are very different.
Yes.
And I'm also very different from your mother, personality-wise. And for me, actually, that's been the major one that I've had to learn. It's different from my own children in that you learn them as, from before they are born. You are with each other. And this one I've had to learn that, no, Nyarazo may not necessarily be as vocal as I am, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have an opinion. I've had to learn that, okay, this girl does have an opinion, but she may choose not to give that opinion. Whereas my own children, the way they were raised up, if I have an opinion, I give that opinion. I make sure people get that, I have an opinion. The other difference, can you think of something else while I'm thinking? The other difference is, I'm just thinking personality-wise. What's the other difference? I think particularly on expression, really, and sleeping.
Yeah.
I think you were allowed to sleep too much. In my household, people wake up and work. But thank God we don't live together, so it's not an issue.
That is true.
Yeah, it's not an issue. Is there anything else?
I think maybe for me, I think now when you brought it up, the personality differences, because like you said, you express yourself. It's very rare for you to not say what you're saying, and for me, it's sometimes you're like, oh, okay, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. This is where sometimes people suffer. If you don't know each other's personality type, and if you, the quieter person, then it's just, receiving, and you don't allow yourself an opportunity to express yourself, then the relationship can suffer. I'm talking to my friends, those of us who think you know it all, you are opinionated. Give each other space. Give the quieter person room. You'll be amazed at the treasure that they carry in their quietness. So it's not necessarily the fact that you talk, you are clear with what you want to say, doesn't necessarily mean it's quality what you are saying. neither does it mean because you are quiet, what you are quiet about is quality, but just to consider each other, so that you know which way it goes. How has it been easy for you to integrate into this family? How has been the experience?
I think it was relatively easy.
Okay.
So at the first level, because Nyasha and Chido were friends, so I had gotten to know Chido already as she was going through high school. So we already had like a sisterly kind of relationship, so that made it easier. I think the real adjustment came in with you guys, the parents, because on some level I was expecting, okay, it's going to be similar, maybe not exactly the same, but it's going to be similar to my parents. And completely different.
Very different.
You guys are two very different people. Even your dynamic is very different. So just adjusting
in
to
a good way, I hope.
It's different. It's a good different.
Yeah.
So even just trying to adjust to that. And I know people have said, oh no, but your mother-in-law, because she's always out there, she's loud, she's there, she's present, you will always know and feel that she's there. And I'm like, yes, but it's not like you are that way all the time. And I think that was one of the things that I had to learn, that, oh, okay, she might be like that at church, but she's not that way all the time, where you don't have space to talk to her or to say something.
Okay, that's good. All you my enemies out there, I do have time for people at home. I have time. But why do you think, I'm sure you have friends that are married that you talk with, why is there such disharmony in this relationship?
I think the issue of competition.
Okay.
I think that becomes a big one, because...
What are we competing for? What?
Competing for the husband or son's attention.
Okay.
Because when the daughter, come in, I'm like, okay, this is now my husband. Like mine.
Yeah.
But the mom is still feeling like this is my son.
Yeah.
And it's almost like he's now in the space where you guys are now trying to get his attention, because mom is feeling like, okay, there's less time for me now. I still want that amount of time. And I'm feeling like, no, I need time and attention because he's now mine. So I think that is a big one, just that competitiveness between mother-in-law and the child. But I also think there's also that element of, I want to use the word submission.
Okay.
And I think I had mentioned it before, but just submission in the sense that you're coming in as a child also.
Yeah.
So if you come in also trying to show everyone that you are in charge, mother-in-law will show you that no, she's in charge. So that will cause some conflict
I'm
as well.
in charge.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So it's mutual.
Yes.
It has to be mutual.
Yes.
And whatever it takes for the relationship to be mutual, I think it works better. And in one of the conversations, Nyarazo, I talked about this relationship, and in my opinion, I said at the beginning it's transactional.
Yes.
At the beginning, I said we meet because we've agreed to meet. It's by appointment and for a cause. And after that phase, I don't know how long it lasts. After that phase, we are kind of comfortable with each other to some extent, and then you do because you feel a bit freer to do now. I also do because I think I've been given a bit of room to do it, and until such a time that it's natural, we are in it, we are together, we are genuinely mother-daughter, in this relationship. What's your take on that?
I completely agree. And I will use my mom again as an example.
Yeah.
Because I always wondered, because when my grandmother, she'll be like, no, this is one of my children. And my mom will be like, this is my mother.
Yeah.
And I always used to wonder, but when you look at it, they didn't start
like
there.
That.
They started, coming in slowly, moving with the relationship up until this is what, almost about 31 years later, where they've now reached that point where they're like, okay, we are mother and daughter now.
Yeah.
And
I mean, is it going to take 31 years for us to get there?
I hope not. I think.
But I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Sometimes it's different anyway with different people, but definitely it takes time.
Yeah.
Definitely it takes time. And I'm grateful that you are working towards us, getting there, and I hope I'm working towards us getting there. Yes. I don't think that one person can be the one just working at it. It can be draining.
True.
It can be draining, even if it's the mother trying to co-opt, you into my life. If you're not reciprocal, it can be very draining.
Yes.
Yeah, it can be. Which is what I find that traditionally, for example, as a mother-in-law, they may not have the good things, the flashy things of high life, but as a daughter-in-law, I remember I had to accept whatever it is that my mother-in-law would give me. And I remember very well that at her death, I inherited what I consider to be still to this day the most expensive china in this house. I inherited from her. But because of how she took care of it, zvaisaita kunge zvinhu zvine value, until one day I walked into an antique shop and I saw a similar set and I realized that, oh, wow, what a treasure. So things like that, I believe they happen in life, and it can happen either from you to me, or me to you. That sometimes you receive a treasure, but the treasure is in an earthen vessel. Yes. You may not look at it as treasure at that time, and yet as you get to know each other, you realize that, oh my goodness, this person is really investing into this relationship. So just to say to our viewers, please make note of the good things that happen between the two of you, because you have to water this relationship. This relationship has potential to grow. From what you have said about your mother and Gogo, it has a potential to grow. So whatever has potential to grow has also potential to die.
Yes.
It also has potential to be sick. So it's very important for this relationship to be constantly reviewed, so that you know how healthy it is and where you are. And I'm hoping that we will have questions. And do you have anything to say? I was going to close just now and I realized I didn't give you space.
No, I think we've just covered it. I think it comes back to communication.
Okay.
All of it, because it is a relationship as well. It comes back to just, you need to be able to communicate with each other. Even like, I didn't like this, or you did this well. Yeah.
That's true. Thank you very much to all your viewers. Please remember to subscribe. Remember to comment and like and share these videos. Please do so. And comment. Please comment to the video. You don't have to come to my WhatsApp inbox. Comment to the video. Thank you. Have a good time.